Witcher 4 is moving to Unreal Engine 5, Elder Scrolls 6 is sticking with Creation Engine 2. Two massive RPGs aiming for the same release window, and just like Witcher 3 versus Fallout 4, they're set on a collision course. But this isn't really about which engine is more powerful. The real question is which game is actually more likely to be playable on day one. After Cyberpunk 2077 and even the Fallout 4 Next Gen update, wait for 3 patches has basically become a genre feature. By the end of this video, you'll know which launch I'd actually trust with my $70 and my time, and why one of these studios simply can't afford to lose this engine bet. I'm a strategy consultant who breaks down the real business decisions behind gaming's biggest moves. If you find this kind of analysis useful, hit like and subscribe. It genuinely helps this kind of content reach more RPG fans. Today, I'm unpacking the strategic logic behind CDPR shifting to Unreal Engine 5 while Bethesda doubled down on Creation Engine 2. Let's start with the core question. How did these two studios end up on such different engine paths in the first place? CDPR's engine strategy brought them The Witcher 3 and then almost broke them on Cyberpunk 2077. Bethesda's been shipping games on the same tech line for over 20 years, and with Starfield, a lot of players joke that they just added the 2 to the old engine. These scars are exactly why Witcher 4 is moving to Unreal Engine 5 and why Elder Scrolls 6 is locked into Creation Engine 2. Let's start with CDPR. For Witcher 1, they used an old BioWare engine. For Witcher 2 and 3, they built the Red engine, and that move worked. They went from Eurojank niche to legit competitor to BioWare and Bethesda. Then came Cyberpunk 2077, and that's where the engine finally broke their risk model. They tried to stretch the Red engine from a third-person fantasy world into a dense first-person sci-fi city. The result? Performance issues, instability, refunds, and a stock price that still hasn't fully recovered. Internally, that taught CDPR two things. Red engine is great inside a narrow lane, but the further they pushed outside that lane, the more fragile and expensive the tech became. So when they asked what is Witcher 4 supposed to be? Bigger world, more systems, deeper side quests, multi-platform from day one, the answer became clear. Move to Unreal Engine 5. But CDPR didn't just download UE5. They signed a multi-year strategic partnership with Epic to co-develop open-world tech. Senior engineers worked directly with Epic to shape Unreal's capabilities. The problems they solve for Witcher 4 flow back into the core engine used by the entire industry. Business-wise, that says we'd rather allocate focus on quests and writing, not rebuilding engine plumbing for the next decade. And for you as a player, that's a bet that day one stability is easier to buy on a mature shared engine. Now contrast that with Bethesda. Bethesda has been iterating on the same core tech since Morrowind. Gamebryo evolved into Creation Engine and then Creation Engine 2 for Starfield and now Elder Scrolls 6. The engine line has paid for itself many times over. It's let them ship Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 without ever having to freeze the studio to reboot tech. Creation Engine 2 is their biggest modernization yet. New renderer, new lighting, better tools, but from the average player's perspective, a lot of people looked at Starfield and said this just looks like a nicer Fallout 4. From a strategy angle, Bethesda is choosing continuity over disruption. They kept full control of their tech, their mod ecosystem and their workflows, and they avoid years of disruption. The trade-off is innovation speed and how next-gen their games feel at launch. So you end up with two opposite bets. CDPR trades control for scalability on Unreal Engine 5, Bethesda trades innovation speed for continuity on Creation Engine 2. And those choices show up the second you hit New Game Plus in how the world looks, moves, and how fast your brain decides, yeah, I'm ready to live here for 200 hours. Now that we've seen the Witcher 4 trailer, we can see exactly what CDPR bought with that switch. The lighting, character detail, and cinematic framing aren't just marketing smoke. They're a clear generational jump over Red Engine. Creation Engine 2 is absolutely an upgrade over Fallout 4, but it's better by a notch, not tear up the rulebook new. Put Starfield next to modern UE5 RPGs and you see the ceiling. A lot of Elder Scrolls fans genuinely don't care if it's the best looking RPG on the market. Their first question is, how fast can I mod this? Bethesda's real competitive moat isn't out of the box graphics, it's a moddable sandbox that lives for 10 plus years. Here's the hard business truth. CDPR made the stronger bet. UE5 buys them instant "this looks like the future" credibility that drives trailer clicks, widens the top of the funnel, and makes a $70 launch price psychologically easier to swallow. The Witcher 4 trailer can sell itself on spectacle alone. Bethesda is saying we'll spot you the visual marketing advantage and we'll win on systems and mods instead. That's defensible for their existing fan base, but on pure visual impact as a business asset, CDPR's engine move is the better play. Let's talk performance, because this is where reputations get made or broken on launch day. CDPR has one job with Witcher 4. Don't be Cyberpunk. They cannot afford another technical disaster. The entire reason they moved to Unreal Engine 5 was to de-risk day one stability. And based on the tech demo they released, it's working. The footage ran at 60 frames per second on console, and CDPR have stated that they're building for console first and scaling up to PC, not the other way around. That's a massive shift from Cyberpunk's build on high-end PC and pray it runs on console approach. If Witcher 4 ships like that demo, CDPR wins this category outright. But here's the catch. Unreal Engine 5 has documented shader compilation and traversal stutter problems. Dozens of UE5 games from indie titles to AAA releases ship with micro stutters. If Witcher 4 launches with noticeable stuttering, all that goodwill evaporates instantly and players will say they switched engines and it still doesn't run right. Now let's talk Bethesda. Creation Engine has always been buggy. Skyrim had backwards flying dragons, Fallout 4 had NPCs walking through walls, Starfield shipped with physics tied to frame rate. Players expect Bethesda games to be broken at launch and they buy them anyway. That's both Bethesda's safety net and their ceiling. Their fans tolerate bugs because the systemic depth makes up for it, but that tolerance has limits. If Elder Scrolls launches as buggy as Fallout 4's next-gen update and The Witcher 4 launches polished, the narrative flips hard. Here's the business stakes. CDPR is betting Unreal Engine 5 gives them stability out of the box. If they're right, they rebuild trust post Cyberpunk and prove that the engine switch was worth it. If UE5 shader compilation and traversal stutter problems ship with Witcher 4, mindshare slips right back to Bethesda. Bethesda is betting their fans will overlook bugs for systemic depth. That's worked for 20 years, but every launch that margin gets thinner. Bethesda chose short-term execution risk, CDPR chose lower long-term platform risk. We've talked visuals and performance, now let's get to the real point of an engine. What kind of RPG you can actually design on top of it? CDPR excels at narrative depth and cinematic quests. Red Engine was tuned for this, but when they tried to scale it into a massive systemic open world with Night City, it hit its limits. Moving to Unreal Engine 5 changes this design sandbox. UE5 streaming and world partition tools make it easier to build large spaces that still feel dense. That pushes Witcher 4 towards more detailed zones, fewer empty stretches, and more handcrafted encounters without breaking performance. On top of that, UE5 gives CDPR access to mature AI tooling and third-party solutions. Makes it easier to build more reactive crowds, less scripted encounters, and iterate faster on combat. And here's the kicker. Witcher 4 will be a seamless open world without load screens. You can ride from one end of the map to the other without hitting a single loading gate. That means you'll chase a monster from a forest into a cave into an underground lake without breaking immersion. That's a massive quality of life win. CDPR is moving from great story in a fragile open world to a great story in a more systemic, reactive world. If the tech demo is anything to go by, we are in for a treat. Bethesda is almost the mirror image. Their games excel in player-driven gameplay, loot systems, and emergent chaos. Creation Engine 2 is built around that philosophy. It's optimized for worlds where you can move, steal, drop, and break a ridiculous number of objects, and where physics, AI, and scripting stack together to create those weird emergent moments Bethesda players talk about for years. But here's the cost. Creation Engine will have load screens everywhere. Every dungeon entrance, every city gate, every interior, you're hitting a loading screen. Do the same monster chase in Elder Scrolls 6, you'll hit 3 loading screens doing the exact same thing. That breaks immersion, but it's the price Bethesda pays to let you interact with literally anything. It's why Bethesda games feel looser but more alive. They give up visual fidelity and seamless exploration to simulate lots of small moving parts. That gives them design headroom for broken builds, crazy combos, and emergent stories the writers never scripted. Witcher 4 on UE5 is likely to deliver highly detailed crafted experiences with better combat, AI, and polish, all in a seamless world. Elder Scrolls 6 in Creation Engine is likely to be a messier, more systemic sandbox where freedom and emergent stories beat cinematic perfection. The risk is you'll be staring at a lot of loading screens, and some modern engine features may be too expensive to ship. If your priority is narrative control and tighter encounters in a seamless world, Witcher 4 has the engine advantage. If your priority is player agency and emergent chaos, Elder Scrolls 6 still has the design edge, as long as you can tolerate the loading screens. So here's where we land. If you're purely looking at it, which engine sets up the better business outcome over the next decade, CDPR's move to UE5 is the safer, more defensible bet. They get instant access to cutting-edge tech, a massive developer ecosystem, and the offload engine maintenance risk to Epic. It's a lower risk, higher upside play. Bethesda's decision to stick with Creation Engine 2 is riskier. They're betting that their unique design philosophy, systemic freedom, modding culture, emergent chaos is defensible enough to justify the visual and technical trade-offs. If Elder Scrolls 6 ships and feels dated compared to Witcher 4, they risk losing mindshare with a generation of players who expect seamless worlds and next-gen visuals. From a player perspective, if you want a seamless, visually stunning, polished open-world RPG, Witcher 4 on UE5 is likely a winner. If you want a messy, chaotic sandbox where you can break the game in creative ways and mod it endlessly, even if it means dated visuals, Elder Scrolls 6 is still your game. So which launch would I trust with my $70? Witcher 4. CDPR has existential pressure. They can't afford another Cyberpunk. The 60 FPS console demo is proof they're building for stability first. Bethesda will ship Elder Scrolls 6 buggy and the modding community will fix it over 6 months. That's been their playbook for 20 years, but from a day one trust perspective, CDPR has more to lose, which means more incentive to get it right. However, if UE5's stutter problem ship with Witcher 4 in a noticeable way, mindshare slips right back to Bethesda. CDPR cannot afford another technical disaster on an engine they don't fully control. Both studios are making calculated bets. CDPR is betting modern tech and polish beats systemic depth. Bethesda is betting their design philosophies justify the technical compromises. We'll know who's right in 2027, but only one of them can afford to be wrong. What do you think? Did CDPR make the right move in shifting to UE5? Will Elder Scrolls look dated? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this breakdown valuable, please like and subscribe. I analyze the real business decisions behind gaming's biggest moves every week. Until next time.